In the 90s and 2000s, HKS stamped their authority on the JDM tuning scene. A string of demo cars in the 90s have etched their image into enthusiast minds. Then in the 2000s, they had the world's quickest GTR, world's quickest time attack car, and the list goes on. Visiting HKS headquarters became every JDM enthusiast's dream, including ours. And surprisingly, the stars had never aligned for us to attend until now. But it was worth the wait, with unprecedented access and meetings with their engineers. The part of HKS that all tours get to see is their main museum. There is a timeline on the wall that is very interesting to follow, starting in 1972. Some key points on the wall for GTR fans include the 0R, Group A, and the R32 drag car, and then the R33 drag car. The engines on display were awesome, including the testing of an F1 engine. The cars are the main attraction though, and the first one is the CT230R Evo. This was a time attack record holder, originally in raw carbon and then rebuilt after a crash and wrapped in red. It took the Tsukuba lap record by a huge margin before it went to the USA and took the Button Willow lap record by 5 seconds. I was there to see that with my own eyes back in 2007. HKS have been involved in open-wheeler racing, including F3, and had a few open-wheeler cars on display. Alongside the open-wheelers was their Opel Vectra touring car, which was built after Group A racing ceased. And they had their Mercedes CLK, which was built as a JGTC car. This yellow car was a prototype called Project 10 and is based off a cappuccino with a motorbike engine, but it never made it into production. The Lexus Altezza was way ahead of its time when released. The carbon fibre body kit was wild and ahead of anything that any other Japanese tuner was doing in the year 2000. The 3S-based engine is turbocharged and moved back past the strut towers, making it more of a mid-engined than front engine, and had pushrod-style inboard coilovers with a sequential transmission. It was way more proper race car than tuner car. For us, the main attraction at the museum was the R33 drag car. For GTR fans, this is such an important part of history. It set the record of 7.67 seconds in 2001, and it was way ahead of any other tuner, to the point where it felt like no one in Japan even tried to catch them. Adding to the HKS R33 fame was that it visited Australia to compete in drag combat thanks to BD4s and Auto Salon. The car was retired soon after, but was on display in New Zealand in 2006, the same year that it lost its record to Reece McGregor in the Heat Treatment's R32 GTR, who ran a 757. But 5 years in the top spot is impressive. Looking over the HKS R33 GTR is a lesson in keeping it simple. A dry-sumped RB26 with a 2.8 litre stroker kit and race-ported head is not uncommon in a street car these days, but back then, it was wild. It used twin HKS 3240 turbochargers with twin HKS external wastegates and used custom intercooler and piping as well as a custom inlet manifold. It had twin fuel rails as injector technology back then wasn't as good. Some things to point out are the factory coil packs and igniter in place, as well as a factory cam angle sensor. Power was rated at 1300 PS, but going over 180 mile per hour, many expected it was more when wicked up. So what was the secret to its success? Really, it was lightweight and the basics done right. The entire car was dry carbon, and panels is a loose term as they were so thin it was more like skins, and there was a carbon firewall. Aero was taken seriously with all the vents and grills blocked up and the intercooler ducted to come out the bonnet. There is a drag wing and extra guide plates, plus the rear bumper is cut out, which is all best practices for aero. Inside is very Spartan and the seating position moved back for better weight distribution. There is an air-shifted Liberty transmission which uses a custom quad plate clutch, and there is a pedal box as well. Looking under the back, it's fairly stock, just upgraded diff center and Hikus lock kit. You will notice the subframe has different hold positions for different geometry and has solid bushes, which makes the subframe raised up to the body. The front suspension has custom strut tops, so there were some tricks they used to get it down the track. 767 may seem relatively normal in the world of GTR drag racing now, but back in 2002, it was simply on another level to anyone else, and why this car is so iconic. Not always on a public tour is the secondary demo car storage area at the back of the HKS facility. Some more iconic cars were to be found, including the 2JZ powered 86 drift car and the GR Yaris demo car. The old Mark III Supra drag car was super cool to see as well. The Toyota 86 Time Attack car was there, still sporting its Andrew Brilliant Aero package. We got to see this in action at the Yokohama World Time Attack Challenge in Sydney in 2018. Another car we got to see at World Time Attack was the R35 GTR Time Attack car. This also visited the USA to take on Life Motorsports R35 GTR. It's a monster with over 1,000 horsepower and plenty of aero. The circuit puts more strain on a car than drag racing, so it was a good place to prove their products. Another cool thing we got to check out was the R32 GTR shell filled with their advanced heritage prototype parts that were previously displayed at Tokyo Auto Salon. Electronic wastegates and blow-off valves, intake with modern airflow meters, a new custom inlet manifold with drive-by-wire, and double V-cam. all new concepts that we hope to see on sale. We got to see some areas of HKS that we couldn't film, but one place we were given exclusive access to check out and film was the engine room. We got to check out some VR38s and RB26s in the build, and we met with one of their engineers to talk about development and testing of new parts, including their new sleeves and the two-piece piston they used in the RB30 crate motor. This is not a common practice due to the complexity of the production process and also by how much power a two-piece piston can generally handle. Each piston is designed as a set with a thread plus a stepped section to act as a locator and stop it moving around on the thread. They are torqued correctly before a hole is drilled with a pin that is used in final engine assembly. We got to see that final assembly process inside the HKS engine development room. They first need to be unscrewed. The pistons are preheated to a set temperature, placed in a jig, and first unscrewed so that the conrod and gudgeon pin can be installed into the lower piece, which in this case uses a larger 22mm pin. It goes back into the jig and is screwed on until the holes line up using a special tool, and then the pin goes in. After that, the engine is assembled as per normal at HKS. It was great to talk with the engineers about their testing process, much of which isn't publicly seen in their engine dyno rooms and in customer drag and time attack cars. We can say this with confidence now that HKS products are just as well developed and tested as they have been since the 90s, and we can't wait to see what else they have in store for both the GTR and performance scene as a whole.